Hello everyone, welcome to the Green Man channel. Hope you're doing good and well. In tonight's Friday night album review, I'm reviewing the latest release from Dream Theater. This is their 15th studio album, A View from the Top of the World. It was released today on Inside Out. The album is 7 tracks and 1 hour and 10 minutes in length. And for an album, any prog album, you always expect, generally lengthier songs and perhaps a slightly lengthier album. And in this case, Dream Theater have gone for quite an epic length album with 1 hour, 10 minutes. I do think that for the most part, they justify the running time. Dream Theater in the past, I think have sometimes, for me, they can go over the top. I mean, we know they've got the technical ability. We know John Petrucci, Mark Mangini. We know that the talent that this band have collectively, and we always know that they're going to offer us a great show of, immense guitar work or bass work or drumming. We always know we're going to get that with Dream Theater. But sometimes for me, the longer instrumental passages they have can become a little jarring from time to time. I mean, not every time they do it, but sometimes for me it can become a little bit jarring. And one of the reasons I really enjoyed their last record, Distance Over Time, was because I thought it was slightly more melodic than a lot of the previous recent stuff that they've done. And I do tend to find myself going slightly more towards the Dream Theater that are a bit more on the melodic side than the super technical kind of long instrumental passages, kind of 10-minute plus songs. But on this album there were some longer format songs, but I actually quite enjoyed them. Like the final track, the title track was very good actually, and lots of variation in that was enough that even though you had some longer instrumental sections and lots of guitar passages, they were actually quite nicely paced, nice variety. Had a nice melodic section in the middle of that piece, which I thought gave the track a nice break. And actually, it was a really good finish to the album. Anyway, to go a bit more into all the tracks on the album, pretty good opener. I felt that the opener, when James LaBrie was singing, I really enjoyed The Alien. I felt like it lacked a little bit of lyrical content. I thought if there would be more lyrical content in The Alien, you'd have a really strong opener to this album. Very much enjoyed, I thought, the middle kind of tracks on this album. Everything kind of between the second track we had, which was, of course, Answering the Call. Everything between that track and Transcending Time, for me, I really enjoyed. And for me, brought out a lot of the highlights of this album, a lot of the hooks that I would revisit if I come back to this album. Some wonderful vocal moments, again, from James LaBrie in tracks like Invisible Monster, Sleeping Giant. I love his chorus, which starts with the shadows disappear part, and I like how that slightly changes each time. Transcending Time gave me very much a Rush feel, but also reminds me a little bit of a song that might have been on their self-titled album. Now, their self-titled album gets quite a lot of dislike, but I really liked their self-titled album from 2013. That song brought me back a bit to some of the songs I think that were on that album, and I really enjoyed those. So I quite liked Transcending Time, personally. Probably one of my preferred tracks on this album as well. Awaken the Master was one I mean, maybe it just wasn't my style of track as much, and it was another quite long one. I wasn't as into Awaken the Master, but I did like, as I say, the final track, which finished this album off. So, Dream Theater, A View from the Top of the World. I mean, another thing actually is just I wanted to say is that I like the way on the artwork. If you observe the artwork, you notice that their logo is printed onto that rock face in the artwork, and I quite like the way that's done, the way it's kind of imprinted on there. I thought that was quite neat, quite clever, a nice touch for the artwork of this album anyway. But overall, I think this album for me is currently about a 7.5 out of 10. I did enjoy it, I did like it. I do think I'm going to give it some more listening time. I did find myself at times finding that feeling I've had with Dream Theater in the past, where I just find those longer, really guitar-driven passages where it sort of just feels like the track is just kind of showing off the technical talent we all know is there, but sometimes it feels like that just goes on for just a touch too long for me. As I say, those really technical passages which last 5 or 6 minutes. I did feel that a few times on this album, but it didn't spoil it for me. I still feel like this was a strong release from Dream Theater. Anyway, that finishes my review of A View from the Top of the World from Dream Theater. I have a couple of videos planned for this weekend because it's kind of horror season. I'm going to be doing a Nightmare on Elm Street films, a ranking of those films from my least favourite to my favourite. I'm also planning to do a ranking of the Squid Game episodes from the first season. It's been a hugely popular series, and there's plenty I kind of quite want to say about that series and my thoughts on it. I think it's been a quite fascinating series, and fascinating still that it's captured the attention of so many people on Netflix. So anyway, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, do feel free as ever to like and subscribe to the channel. I cover quite a lot on music reviews, doing lists, and of course some coverage on sci-fi, fantasy and horror as well. Anyway, take care everybody. Bye for now.